Sweetest Honey podcast, season 2 with Reece, part 2.
Welcome back to Sweetest Honey. Today we have a very, very, very special guest, and she's coming on for part 2 to answer some of your questions. So welcome, Miss Reece, the famous Miss Reece.
Oh, I don't know about that, but wow, thank you.
I know, it's crazy. You're a public figure overnight.
Oh my gosh. That's kind of hard to believe, to be honest.
I know. How's it been?
Good. Honestly, it's such a whirlwind, so you just feel like I woke up and my phone was so blown up that it was like crashing already at my fingertips. But wow, it's so surreal.
Yeah.
I feel like I've used that word throughout this entire year because this year has been so surreal. But once the docuseries came out, it like just amplified. So super excited, super exciting to look forward to. A lot of things happening, but it's weird to see that this is kind of a reality now.
I know. It's not your traditional rookie season experience. Like
No.
going from being a rookie to just like kind of the face of DCC right now.
I don't know about that, but thank you.
It's like there's no better person. So I hope you enjoy all of it. And I'm so excited because when I put out this Q&A, I was looking through the questions. I'm like, Reece, there's like 1,000.
So I was telling Will, because I was like, well, I don't know, like my Instagram wasn't working for some reason. Like I couldn't post a story.
Yeah, I'm releasing that.
And it was so bizarre, but it's working now. But at the time, I was like, maybe if you could post, and then I repost and share it. But I got worried. I was like, oh, I'm kind of hesitant. Like I'm worried that like a lot of people wouldn't have been able to respond because it seems like extra work to click and whatever. Yeah. So I was nervous, but I'm glad that there was a good response.
There was like literally thousands. Like I was screen recording them scrolling. I was like, it just keeps going. So we're gonna do our best to answer like just a few questions, and I think it will cover like most of what people want to know. So we'll just get into it.
Let's do it.
And we're kind of just gonna lead into where we left off. So like becoming a public figure so quickly, how has the whole thing been for you? Like, what was your experience like firsthand? Just one, filming the Netflix show, and now, you know, being interviewed, being on the Today Show and in LA, like doing events. What has it all been like?
Yeah. So I know I just said surreal, but I'm gonna stop trying to use that word because I feel like that's really repetitive. But honestly, like I tell so many people this, but I am just a girl from Jacksonville, Florida. Never in my wildest dreams would have thought that this would be my life and this would be my reality. Because first and foremost, I had a big dream of becoming a Dallas Cowboys cheerleader. And when that dream came true, that was like my whole reason. Like I just wanted to be a DCC. And now on top of everything, it's just weird to think like kind of two worlds colliding at once. But it's been so fast. I feel like after I got married, my life has been on this fast train and there's like no sign of slowing down. But it's been such a blessing all at the same time. I know that this is a responsibility and I hold that with a lot of care and weight. But I want to hopefully inspire so many people and show them that my life is very imperfect. I have so many flaws, and but I know that this was a gift and this was given to me, and I hold that with just a lot of responsibility. I now am trying to just show Jesus throughout everything and everything that I do, and there's just a lot of great things that have come. So the Today Show was super special. I giggle at this because I wake up every morning at 6:50 to watch the Today Show at 7 a.m. every morning.
Oh my gosh.
And so when I saw that we were going to the Today Show, I was like, I'm not really sure how to process this. I cannot believe I'm about to see the people that I watch every single morning in person, but such a blessing, and I'm so grateful, and I hope that people see that this is all from him and nothing that I've done. So
I love it. And it's crazy because you go from just like sharing your life and just the experience of you auditioning to now having this huge platform. But like you said, like with a huge platform comes a lot of responsibility, and you have such a pure, genuine heart to like share the Lord's love. And so you're just shining bright like
Thank you.
Star you are. But
Thank you.
I love watching it and just like cheering you on in that. And I don't think people realize just like how crazy fast it happens in your life.
Yes.
It's just like,
just days ago.
Yeah.
Just days ago.
yeah, and you're like, I'm just a little old Reece living my life.
Just a little baby, just trying to figure it out.
For the interviews, you've done a few now.
Yeah.
So how has that been? Were you nervous or like?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay.
I feel like, well, throughout my life, I'm grateful for opportunities I've been given to kind of experience pressure and experience, because I know we say pressure is a privilege, and to be able to kind of fail a little bit and learn from it and grow in that way. So it's always nerve-wracking because you never know what they're going to ask, but my prayer is always like, okay, God, if I'm lost, like you're going to have to speak through me because I don't know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
And so I found myself kind of, I guess we were going in a commercial, and one of the Today Show, I guess like stage managers was like, okay, 10, 9, 8. And I'm like, my hand was shaking. I was like, okay, calm down. It's going to be fine. Like the Lord already is in the details. He goes before you. And I just have to remind myself of that because, I mean, I kind of got caught off guard one time in an interview where I felt this discernment of, ooh, okay, Lord, I'm going to need you to really speak through because I don't know how to answer this question, and he does. And whether it's someone through the lens needs to hear it, or whether that journalist or interviewer needs to hear it, he does what he does best. And I have to remember that someone's going to hear it. Hopefully, it's going to touch someone's life, and I have to trust that.
Yeah, and I'm not sure exactly what you're alluding to, but something that stood out to me when you were interviewing in LA. The guy kind of asked, like, what's your thoughts on, like, sharing your faith? It's not a big thing in Hollywood.
Yeah.
And I was like, dang, like, what would I say if I had to answer that question? And you answered it just so beautifully and with grace. And I think it goes back to, like, God equips the called. And if you have, like, a pure, humble heart, like, he will do the work. And you don't even have to think about it sometimes. Like,
he's really good at what he does.
Yeah.
I'm not.
Yeah. You're like, I'm just sharing, what he's put on my heart. And I think you've just handled it all with grace, and it's not an easy thing to do by any means. And I feel like, it's anyone would feel the pressure of just like, okay, if I say anything wrong, then it's going to be taken and spun or whatever it is. But I think you've just done a beautiful job, and you've been in pageants, like you've kind of had that to help equip you. Yeah, because it does help, like just being able to speak and answer questions and stuff. So it's funny to think about that too, like God's in the details.
Yes, he is, because I never saw myself as a pageant girl, and I don't think I would describe myself as like a pageant girl.
Yeah.
I feel like we break a lot of those stereotypes now these days, and so, but I'm grateful for that exposure. I'm grateful for me being able to get peeled off the wall when I had to step into an interview with judges. Like that was terrifying for me. So he knew I needed to kind of go through that and learn from that, and prepares. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so the second question I want to ask you, because it is so featured on the show, is about you and Sweet Will. So let's talk about him. Like, first of all, I think we should talk about you guys, your relationship, how you knew he was the one, and then 2, like, how did you guys together feel about sharing your relationship on national TV?
Yeah, that part kind of just came naturally, and I honestly, I'm not sure if like I never sought that, I guess, topic out for like us to really be a part of, because that just kind of came organically. But I get this question a lot because everyone's like, oh, you mentioned like that was the first boy you've ever met and like had a boyfriend, like, and it's crazy and it seems, silly to some, but I mean, my prayer was like in college, if I'm gonna find the one, like I want him to be the one. And it's not that I'd ever settle, but truly God answered that prayer and he gave me my best friend. And so to answer that question, I feel like if I have a bad day, or if we're frustrated, or we're happy, or whatever the case may be, all said and done, we're best friends at the end of the day. And that's how I knew he was the one. But two, something I was kind of thinking about on the way here was I obviously pray for very specific things when it comes to, I think we all do, is like, okay, Lord, I pray that my husband does this, or he believes in this, or he likes, I don't know, going ice skating, you know, I don't know what it is. And I had all those prayer requests, but one thing that I've always naturally prayed for was protection of my heart. And something that I didn't really incorporate into my prayers for my husband was that, but God already did. And one thing I can say is Will has protected my heart and protected my dreams and has just cared for them in such a sweet way that I never really thought to pray for, if that makes any sense. And so when I met Will, I always felt from day one super safe. And I felt that discernment of like, that was the Lord answering that prayer that I've always prayed for myself, but through someone. And so that's just something how I knew like he was the one for sure.
Yeah, I think God knows what we need more than we do. Like he surprises you and you're like, oh yeah,
100%. Yeah, thanks. Sorry I left that detail out, but thanks for being in the details.
It's so important, especially with everything happening now. Like he is going to be there to support you through all of it. And it's sweet. You guys get to experience this together now that you're newly married. Like that's already an adventure in itself.
Oh my gosh, yes.
And you're like, okay, let's just add this massive thing all to it.
Yeah, and I think kind of what steered us to talk about our relationship was to make it relatable. As newlyweds, we have no idea what we're doing. And I feel like when I was younger, I was like, oh my gosh, that girl's engaged, she's got it all figured out. Or that couple just got married, or you know, that mom, she just had her firstborn baby, you know, all these things. And you think like, oh, they just have it figured out, like that's the picture perfect life that you strive for. But the older I get, the more I'm like, wow, we're all trying to figure it out. We are all figuring out this thing called life. And that's one thing that we really wanted to show and highlight, is that we're flawed and we're imperfect and we're just trying to figure it out. And if we can be relatable and hopefully in return inspire others, that we're just two newlyweds just trying to figure this thing out.
Well, I love how intentional you are with it too. And like, you know, God's put you guys on this platform for a reason and he'll use you. So I think your heart behind it is sweet.
Thank you.
So how's it been, like we've talked about it on our own, like putting your faith out there in the spotlight? You're obviously like opening up a door to be criticized, and you know, there's lots of love and there's lots of hate. So how has it been with all of that so far for you?
I would be lying if I said it was easy breezy, nothing was wrong, because I feel like just growing up, I've always been a people pleaser. And so when you see people actually kind of sending hate, it's like, oh, that kind of stinks and burns. But one thing I've really learned throughout these past few days, I guess, is really just this was all in his plan for my life. And I have to cling and hold on to that and know that he's never going to lead me towards destruction, or, you know, he's never going to lead me down a path that he knew I wasn't ready for or anything like that. So just trusting in him and knowing that he already wrote this out for my life is something I just have to trust. But I will say it's definitely a lot to grasp. It's a lot for me to process, and I still think I'm trying to process it now because it's a lot. But it's such a blessing. And I know I keep saying that, but it really is. And if I, obviously, you know, there are some negativity, there's some negative comments out there, but the positive always outweigh it. And if I can at least just plant one seed, then I've done my job as a Christian. And I mean, that's what we're called to do. And so that's been my why, that's been my hope within this process. And I hope that I can plant at least one and let him do the rest.
Yeah, for sure. I think it's kind of like an Esther moment.
Yes.
For such a time as this, like you've been created, and it's, I think, knowing that and being strong in your faith, you know, like if not me, then somebody else, and if not now, then like when, you know. And so the fact that you're like staying true to you and being obedient, and that I think is just wonderful. And like God, you know, that means everything to him too. Like he really honors that. And so I love to see it. And everybody's like, oh, how's she doing? I was like, I honestly, like, I know like she's gonna deal with like the ups and downs of it, but I was like, I know how solid you are, and so I don't worry about you losing yourself in it, because you're solid on like, you know, your worth. And yes, I'm a people pleaser too, so I get it, but that's just something like when you're so rooted in it, it doesn't matter,
right?
You know, if God's your loudest voice in your life, then you can ignore the rest, and it just, he takes care of you in it, you know.
And something I've learned too is I know we kind of touched on this before, but, you know, if there's negativity that's directed towards me or my faith or a comment, it just shows me how much more we need Jesus. And he came to this world to heal and to save the world. And if I can at least show someone who might be commenting something negative, if I can show them Jesus, then like, I've done my job. So
absolutely.
Hopefully with negativity and all the sad things, hopefully they just see Jesus no matter what. However, you know, I don't know how they're going to take that, but if I can just do that, then that's my calling.
No, you're doing your job. Love it.
That's right.
Okay, this is a funny question.
Okay.
So everyone wants to know, like, how are you the way that you are? If you're just a happy, joyful person, and we know you have emotions and
100%.
But really, truly, like every time I've seen you, you are just like, oh, hello.
Thank you.
So everyone wants to know, like, how do you stay so positive and have that uplifting spirit day to day?
Yeah, well, if Will was sitting here, he probably would have like laughed out loud, because I feel like a lot of times not that you take it out on the people that you love, but you really can be super vulnerable with the people that you love. So I do cry, people. I cry, I get upset, I get defensive over the people I love too. Like if they're hurt, it like hurts me. I'm one to see if someone's hurting, like it really affects me, or if someone's like really excited or joyous, like it affects me. And I feel emotions deeply.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I'm not perfect, people. There are times where, you know, a comment is made and it hurts, or, you know, I know that everything's temporary. So I have to be present in the most joyous, positive, happy things. But when negativity comes, or there's like grief or there's sorrow, like that's all temporary. And knowing that my true hope and peace comes from the King of Peace, and I have to remember that he's the one that gives peace that surpasses all understanding in those tough situations.
Yeah, I love to look at it too as like, you know, the verse, there's a time to weep, time to mourn, a time to be joyful, a time to dance. Like God accepts all those emotions, and you don't have to be one way all the time. Like, but I do think it goes back to, I've had people say this to me and others, just like, oh, there's something different about you, or like you just like have this light about you, and like you know what it is. You're like, well, it's not me.
It's not me.
It's God, and like it does give you like an internal sense of joy, and not like happiness, like true joy and peace. And that's I would say a difference. Like when you can see His work in somebody's life, like that's the difference.
Yeah, and I've been so overwhelmed with gratitude lately that so many positive comments are coming my way with like, wow, we see Jesus through you. And like, as much as that means to me, I just hope that they can see that I could not be here today if it wasn't for him. And so, yeah, that I do try to stay super positive in situations, but also that's him. That's not me.
Yeah, I love it. I'll go back to a little bit of a lighter question, but what have been like some funny moments in all of the Today shows and the things that you've been doing?
Oh, yes.
Share your stories. We want to hear them.
So I hope that this is a true testament to my imperfectness, even though that's like not really correct. So when we did the jump split, I got up and one of my teammates looked at me and she was like, "Hey, your tights." And I had this huge rip, and I'm like, okay. I'm looking at Kelly and Judy, and I'm like, yeah, I'm not really sure what to do in this situation. Obviously, we always bring extra tights, and we had someone who had hairspray, so I'm like trying to spray it so it doesn't rip anymore. Yeah. And as sweet Sophie and I are trying to like move my tights to the outside, it just keeps ripping. And I'm like,
oh no.
I'm like holding it down, and I like look up, and I'm like, how much time do I have?
Is this live? Like
this is so we had just commercial break.
Okay.
So we had just performed, and we were about to do, I guess, like our last segment through the day, and one of them was an interview, and I was going to be sitting on a bar stool where you could just easily see my long, nice rip in my tights. So I was like, I can't do anything about it. Like, I don't know what to do. So I look, and I ask one of our like publicists, I was like, do you know how much time we have? And she's like, we have 8 minutes. So I'm like,
oh yeah, you could do it in 8 minutes.
I'm gonna do this. Yeah. But I had to go downstairs. I had to go through like this hallway. I had to go get to my suitcase. And then I had to find a dressing room because the dressing room that we were in had like cameras. And I'm like, well, I can't get dressed there. And so I think Judy comes down. She's like, don't get dressed in the dressing room. Like, we have to go somewhere else. So someone comes running down. I'm like frantically trying to find my suitcase and look for my tights. I get the scissors and I'm like cutting them and like getting them out. And I run, and I already had 2 of my socks, you know, like the thicker socks, the smaller socks. I'm taking everything off, and I'm like, okay. I'm putting on my tights, and already like my ring is like getting caught and my nails are getting stuck. And I'm like, the more calm we can do this, the better. So I had never changed faster before in my life, but we got it figured out.
You were fine.
Somehow I got up, and they were like, all right, you ready to go? And I'm like, yeah.
I'm out of breath, but
I'm ready. Yeah. So in that moment, it was just funny to think like, you know what, this is fun. You know, like you just have to laugh at those situations.
Oh, the stress that we get in those situations though, like, and it's always like 2 minutes before you're going out with thunder or something. You're like, I've got a massive rip, and you just have to like do it so fast.
You see how effortless everything looks, and how like, the hair looks great, their makeup and the tights and the uniform, and you're like, well, little did you know, about 5 seconds ago, this happened, and
I'm chaotic.
Chaotic, a hot mess.
I know. I always am like, okay, the drone thing that happened at Meet the Team, like, got drone stuck in my hair. It was wild. An hour and a half before, like, basically cutting my hair out, oiling it down.
Cutting it.
And then you go out and you're like, yes, nothing happened.
Nothing happened. Look at my hair. It's just went through a deep conditioning.
Yeah, honestly, it never looked better. I was like, maybe I should do this.
Yeah. Oh my God.
So funny. Okay, let's see what else we got.
This is a fun question. What is the best part of being in DCC in your eyes?
Definitely people. Getting to meet so many people. I mean, you're meeting people that, whether they're kids in hospital or you're meeting U.S. veterans, and it's so special to see like the real superheroes or the people that you're meeting and getting to make their day when really you leave from an appearance feeling so just honored that you got to meet them and so humbled at the same time. I remember one of my favorite appearances was one going to the children's hospitals during the holidays. That is so humbling. It's so humbling, and it's such an honor to meet the real superheroes. But getting to meet the U.S. veterans is something that like not everyone gets to do, but being able to hear their stories and hear the sacrifices that they made and the places that they were stationed and just some of their stories. I mean, you leave so inspired and so deeply grateful for the country that you live in after meeting them. So it's those opportunities that really are just such a blessing with this job and this this platform.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's definitely my favorite part, is getting to meet so many people.
I agree. And I tell a lot of girls who are coming in, or like just people from the outside, they see the glitz and glam of it and like, oh, I want to do that. And
Yeah.
I love to dance, and I think that's all great too. But it's like the stuff that leaves you so fulfilled is not that as much as it is like what you said, meeting those people who change your life. And you walk into a children's hospital and you see this little kid and just like maybe the smile on their face, and you see what they're going through, and it just like touches your heart. Or like you said, the U.S. vets, like going on a USO tour and seeing where they're stationed and seeing their families out there, like the sacrifice.
Yes.
You're so humbled by it. And I think that's like the heart of the cheerleader. You know,
Absolutely.
It's bringing joy to people who have gone through things or have sacrificed, and like we're there to make their day better. But like little do they know, they're really
making our
ours.
day.
Yeah.
It's the service aspect of this organization. It's not what the uniform can do for us, it's what we can do for the uniform or the organization.
Yes.
And being able to serve has been just such an honor.
Yeah.
And I mean, when am I ever going to say, like, I walked in with a Cowboys logo and saw someone light up, when really I was the one that walked away from an experience so humbled and so grateful. Yeah.
Yes, beautifully said. I love it. Okay, next one. And I think this question's super interesting. I've gotten this before too, but did you find that like cheerleading interferes with your values? Or how do you feel about it?
Yeah, that's a good question. So I think we kind of touched on this a little bit just a second ago, but you definitely will get those comments of like, oh, you're wearing this.
It's the modesty aspect of it.
Absolutely. Yeah. I will say I'm the same Reece in the uniform and outside. Yeah. At least I hope that I'm portrayed in that way. But anytime that I'm not in the uniform, you probably will see me in a t-shirt and some shorts, you know? And I always say, like, modest is hottest. And, but I do understand, like, what I'm representing is greater than what I could be wearing in that representing. It's hard to get into that detail, but I love to embrace, like, me as a woman. And I'm proud of that. I'm so grateful that, you know, I am who I am, and that I can dance and use my passion to bring glory to him, because he's the one that gave me this gift. I think with all of the modesty and how that affects like my morals and values, I think it's more about who I'm representing than, you know, what I'm representing. And he's the one that's blessed me with this opportunity, so I want to give him all the glory for it.
And I've always said too, like, when you put the uniform on, there is no part of me that thinks like, oh, like I feel exposed. And like you feel the tradition and the legacy
100%.
That you're representing. And it's like putting on a superhero costume. And, you know, like you said, you see people's eyes light up at just like, oh my gosh, these are the Dallas Cowboys cheerleaders. And there's a reason it's in the Smithsonian. Like, there's so much history and good behind it. And like,
and women who've worn it
the women
before you. Yeah.
I know.
Absolutely.
And so to me, I'm like, it's kind of like I'm so proud to wear it and be one of those women. Like, there's no part of me that has ever thought the opposite.
Right.
You know?
Because, I mean, like you said, when you put it on, I've never felt more confident and more strong. And I feel like if we're going to be women who are going to inspire just being strong and being confident and supporting each other, then putting on that uniform makes me embody that, I feel like. And I feel like Wonder Woman.
I know. And I think we know who we're representing, but maybe like from the outside, people don't know the fullness of it. And so when you're educated on it, it does give you more of appreciation for it.
And a different perspective. Yeah. Because from someone like just looking at what we're wearing, that you don't know the history and the legacy behind it. that makes it worthwhile.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, this is a fun, easy question, and I got a lot of these for you.
Oh, gosh.
So people must just think your hair and makeup is looking fabulous. You're popping off.
Gosh.
So they want all the tips. Give us like a few tips of what you do for game day.
Okay, that's a good question.
I know. I'm like, what do I do?
Well, little do a lot of people knows. I probably curl my hair at least 6 times throughout game day. My hair does not like to hold curl. She's very stubborn, and it kind of is a little annoying at times.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, it kind of feels like there's cement in your hair because of all the hairspray and probably the frying of my hair.
It's just so dry.
So dry. Yes, I'm like, I need a deep mask after this.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's definitely, the more you curl your hair and the more hairspray you put in it, it'll maybe hold something.
It's kind of an art.
It's kind of an art. Yeah, you just have to kind of figure it out somehow.
Yeah.
But one of like, something I feel like, you know, everyone's like, oh, I gotta get the brand, this brand and this high quality, this. One of my favorite products is the e.l.f. I think it's called the Grip and Prime.
Okay, yeah,
whatever
yeah.
I don't know the actual name.
The primer?
Yeah.
For your face? Okay,
It is the best. And I'm a sweater.
I've heard about this actually. So
Yes.
yeah.
Yes, I am a sweater. And you know, after game day, we're not looking, you know, all fresh and clean, you know? And so, but my makeup never runs when I have that on because it just really just stays on really well. So
We love it.
it's definitely one of like my favorite products that I use.
Are you a roller girl? Do you put your hair in rollers?
I don't
I was gonna
actually.
say, I don't know if I've seen you do it.
Yeah, I used to a while ago, but I feel like, I don't know, I guess the more I'm curling it, it's just faster just to kind of do
Do
and-
it. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm a big like teaser.
I was just about to say,
I will
Alabama
say,
girl.
I do love a good tease.
Yeah.
I do feel my best when I have a little bit more volume. I feel like, ooh, I don't know.
The higher the hair.
The higher the hair, you know? But one of my tips is that I always take like sections and I spray like my roots with hairspray, and then you tease, and your tease holds better.
Yes.
So there's a little tip.
That's great. That's great. You wouldn't believe it, but I never used hairspray before DCC. Like I hated it.
Really?
Yeah, because my hair was so like baby soft, and I just liked it that
You're
way.
like, I just want it to be
I was like, yeah, just soft. It didn't hold a curl though. So
well, you
we're
have
like,
the most beautiful hair, so.
Thank you. But I came to DCC and I was like, my hair looks like it's a drowned rat now. So coming out of
After
game day,
we do kind of look like a wet mop, but that's okay, you know.
You do, but we learned.
You're working hard.
We learned to use it, and I will say, like, there's a glow up that happens when you're coming on the team and you see how everybody else is like
You're
doing
like,
their hair
Let
and
me
makeup.
try all these tips and put it into one.
Yeah, I know. It's crazy how people help you. And you just got yours done today, so.
Yes, I'm super grateful for that.
Yeah.
Shout out to Madeline who just did my makeup. I'm so grateful she did it. I was like her little guinea pig because she was trying to do social media content and some videos. And I was
Love
like,
it.
well, I'll just sit right here and you can just make me feel and look my best. Just go for it, you know? I don't want to take it off. I need to know her tips and tricks.
I love it. Well, I feel like we answered a lot of y'all's questions. There's a ton on just like her testimony. And obviously, as you can see, like she's just radiates God's love through and through. And like, it's so genuine. And I feel like I could ask you questions all day. I mean, there were thousands, I swear.
I love that. I love that.
But I'm glad that, you know, we got a little deeper look into everything while your life is changing and blowing up and you're just here living it and being a part of the journey. But I'm so glad you took the time to sit down and just chat with me.
I'm so honored. You know, I look up to you and your walk, not only as a dancer, but as a believer. And so you inspire so many people. And to say that I was on Sweet as Honey is such an honor.
There's a reason I was like, I'm choosing her as my boot buddy. I knew we'd get along. So it's been special, and I'm happy to cheer you on now and everything, and just watch you shine on and off the field.
Oh, thank you. I love you.
I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. Make sure you share it, get the word out, show her some love because she deserves it. And we'll see you guys next time on Sweet as Honey.